Okay, coming up on our Finding Better podcast is probably the most consequential interview I've ever done on Finding Better. Derek Rydall is joining me, and we're going to talk about AI and surviving and thriving in this new era of artificial intelligence. The problem these days is that things are happening and changing so fast that people are scrambling to understand, what do I do? How do I future proof my life? And we're going to talk about that. This is something that is going to answer a lot of questions, give you that game plan moving forward in a time that is so uncertain, but is going to end up being so amazing. Please share this. And by the way, please subscribe. It really helps us because what happens is that the more subscribers we get, the more the algorithms get our messaging out there to the world. And so it doesn't cost you anything. Please hit that subscribe button. This episode, share it. Listen to it and share it. It is amazing, and you're going to learn so much. Derek is amazing, and you're not going to believe it. Here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our Finding Better podcast. My name is John Suzuki, and I am your host. And this is where we share real life experiences of people who have been there and done that. Because, I found that a lot of times the best path to success is to learn from people who have walked the path and learn from their mistakes and learn from their successes and victories. Today, my guest is Derek Rydall, and I am thrilled to have this opportunity to talk to Derek, because as you all know, I'm really big in the area of AI and the evolution, our evolution, as the world of AI changes and moves forward faster than any of us really know. And so let me give you Derek's oh, by the way, Derek, welcome to Finding Better podcast.
Thank you. It's a
All
real
right.
honor and a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, the honor is
We're
mine.
already having a great. We already got started before you guys showed up, so we're having a good time over
Yeah.
here.
We're going to have a great conversation. So here, a little bit of an introduction for Derek. So, um, we're going to talk about how to navigate the rapid change in the AI age, artificial intelligence age. The world with technology, the world continues to evolve and change faster than it's ever changed and evolved before. And so Derek is the author of the new book called A Whole New Human: 10 Ways We Must Evolve to Survive and Thrive in the AI Age. Okay. You guys know that I'm super, super interested in this because we are living it right now. So, Derek has spent 20 years dedicated to guiding individuals through the profound shifts in our world, showing them how to tap into their inner technologies, and we all have inner technologies, to evolve their humanity, become irreplaceable, and make a bigger impact. Kind of a big deal these days, especially where jobs are going, right? He has overcome some of the most difficult personal hardships, including divorce, the loss of a fortune, and the heartbreaking death of his son. And he has built a global coaching platform and a podcast called Emergence, something you guys want to check out because he teaches timeless principles. And you're going to see that these are timeless. And we're going to talk about them in the age of AI. And they're principles for activating our deepest potential and living our true purpose. So, as AI accelerates, check this out, beyond human capabilities, okay? The question becomes, how do we flourish as humans in a world where machines can outperform us, right? Because the real threat isn't that machines are going to replace us. The real threat is that we're going to become more like machines and lose the very qualities and humanity that defines us. And moving forward, as machines and AI takes over the intelligence part of us, all we're going to have left is our humanity. And this is Derek, welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
We got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot,
Yeah,
a
because
lot.
everybody's got the same question. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Right? What's going to happen? This AI is taking over, and let's talk about that. Let's kind of lay the playing field of what we're dealing with these
Well, I
days.
think the unique playing field here is, we've heard a lot about all the potentially great things AI is going to do, and
Mhm.
certainly it is already and will do a lot of great things in terms of potentially curing many diseases, potentially all at some point, helping to deal with many global climate change and food distribution and all, and basically anybody with a Wi-Fi and a dream is now your new competition. The,
Right.
the democratization of everything, is so there's a lot of really powerful things that it is and will do. So that's one conversation. The other conversation is, it's going to become like Terminator and destroy us or release some pathogen or create something, create a new plague. And all those things are possible, of course. But the real conversation I think that is just starting to happen, I've been talking about it for years,
Hmm.
is when AI and as AI can do everything a human can do better, faster, cheaper, the one question that remains, and that will be the greatest question we have, is what's a human for?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
That's it.
then
What's left?
what's a human for?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is the stated mission of the hyperscalers is to replace all human labor. And when you replace all human labor, you are replacing, at least as far as our modern economic model of reality goes, you're replacing all utility and usefulness and purpose of a person. And so, and it's not just a job that's being replaced, that ultimately it's going to put us, I believe, in one of the greatest global identity crises. So that's the
Yep.
good news. Bad news is
Yep.
what's a human for? And then on a more personal level, what am I for? Why do I matter? And there's what and human beings can survive anything. We've survived plagues, wars, holocausts, pandemics, you name it, droughts, famines. We've
Hmm.
survived everything. There's only one thing a human being cannot survive, and that is the loss of meaning and purpose.
Yes.
As Viktor Frankl talked about in Men
Yes.
for Meaning. In fact, when a human being has no more sense of usefulness or purpose for tomorrow, they become suicidal, quite literally. So that's the real existential crisis is that we are going to have to answer the question, why do I really exist? What is a human for? What am I for? So that's the problem. But the good news, I believe, is that this is both one of the greatest, if not the greatest existential crises, but it is also the greatest inflection point, evolutionary inflection point for us to become what we have always been meant to be. Because AI will strip away and be able to do everything that ultimately we were never actually made to do in our greatest destiny, in our greatest potential. It will remove everything and it will reveal to us just how much we haven't been being who we really are and fulfilling why we're really alive. And as we then realize this is actually an invitation and an answer to a great soul prayer, I think we have the potential to move into a whole new human renaissance. So that's,
Okay, I want to
yeah,
stop you right
yeah,
there.
go ahead.
Holy cow, I love that. You guys rewind what Derek just said and listen to it again, right? I agree with what you just said 100%. And, 10 or 15 years ago, I started, in all the talking and speaking that I did, during the rise of machine learning, which predated artificial intelligence. I told all of my audiences that technology is going to move forward in a way where it's going to force a renaissance of heart.
Hmm.
It's going to force, and you use the word renaissance, which I thought was really,
Yes.
really cool, right?
Yeah.
Because as artificial intelligence takes away that big part of our lives, that intelligence part, the brain part of everything that we do.
Or at least what we thought was
Well,
real
yeah,
intelligence.
yeah,
One
well said.
domain of intelligence.
Well said. The domain of intelligence. It's going to really give us that opportunity to rediscover our humanity.
Yes.
And with as many, we can focus on the doom, we can focus on the gloom, or we can focus on, or in my mind, I say, you know what? If the doom and gloom is going to happen, there's nothing I can do about it, right? But there is something I can do about about moving forward, right?
Yes.
And kind of thinking through, and based on what I learned and based on the things that you're teaching, how to design my life,
Yes.
how to set that blueprint. And I think that is what my audience and I want to hear from you, right?
Yes.
Is that with that backdrop that you just presented, how do we move forward? How do we
Well,
move forward?
sometimes, it's the old cliche. Sometimes you do have to move a couple steps back to move a few steps forward.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you have to prune a tree all the way down till it's like a little Charlie Brown tree, and you're like, oh my God, I killed it. And then it bursts forth in the spring. And so there is a degree to which we talked about before we got on, I don't think you've mentioned it yet,
Hmm.
that there's going to very likely be a very messy middle.
Yes,
I think Mo
yes,
Gadot even talks about, the next 7 to 12 years could be very difficult,
yes.
but then it's utopia. And it's important to understand utopia. A lot of the tech bros talk about utopia as, UBI or USI or universal basic income or universal high
Hmm.
income UHI or universal high services, whatever. We're going to get everything for free. We're not going to have to work. It's going to be great. We're going to build a snap our fingers and a Ferrari will appear and iPhones will be growing out of trees and whatever. It'll all nanotechnology will produce anything out of pure carbon in the whatever. And maybe that will happen, but that's not utopia. That's actually a dystopia. And
Right,
Rome
right.
didn't fall merely because it was conquered from the outside. It rotted from the inside. The decadence, the decay, the loss of real, again, meaning, purpose, real momentum. And we were evolved for purpose. We evolved to be target-seeking creatures, to have aim. We have whites in our eyes so we can see where people are aiming. We evolved to have a target. And in fact, the word sin means to miss the target. It's an archery term. And so if you don't have a target, you're sinning. And if you have too many targets, so we were evolved to have our eyes on the prize, not because of the outer goal so much as because of what it pulls out of us. We become more and more of who and what we really are by having a goal, a target, a vision that is high and that is worthy. And so a utopia where all of that utility is taken away from us is a dystopia. The real utopia is when we realize that the wealth, the riches, the freedom, the joy, all the things we think more outer stuff will give us comes by becoming more and more who we are. The meaning of life, if you've been asking it, is simple, that life may fully flower and flourish. And flourishing doesn't go from outside in. The fruit tree doesn't wait for people to come hang a bunch of fruit on its branches and say, look at me. It is an emergent process. We have to blossom. We have to flower. We have to become. So the way forward is first and foremost, and this is the teaching of all the great ancient masters and teachers, no matter what
Right, right.
religion you're part of or not part of, whether it's Buddha or Jesus or Lao Tzu or Kuan Yin or Shankara or Zoroaster or whatever the case, or your greatest philosophers and artists, we are made to blossom and to become. So the way forward starts with a very old, what I say, the OG self-help guru, the Oracle of Delphi, who was a woman, and she did not give an affirmation. She issued a warning, and she said, "You better know thyself. You better know yourself, because if you don't know yourself, something or somebody's going to know you better than you. And if something or somebody knows you better than you, guess who's using who?" And so we have to come back to the most fundamental first principle: know yourself. Because
Well,
the only thing that AI can't do is you, really you.
I
But it
love
can do,
that.
the little thing, be yourself, everyone else is taken. Well, that has never been more true. So we got to know ourselves. And then step two is we have to have the courage and develop the resilience, the grit, etc., to be true to ourselves. That's the whole game. We'll unpack it today, but it's really the wax on, wax off of spiritual or personal, martial arts. It's know yourself, be yourself.
That,
And if you can do that, you will become something that is singular, that is unique, that is the new Prada, Gucci, whatever of whatever you're meant to be. And AI will never be able to replicate that. Go ahead.
the only thing AI can't do is you.
Yeah.
I love that. I wrote it down. I wrote it down. And you guys, and I'm speaking to my audience right now. Derek just kind of took us through the wisdom of the ages, right? And a lot of us might be thinking, well, gosh, yeah, okay, so what? Here's the so what, right? I mean, the world is,
First
one way,
it's also, and then
huh?
it's so what? I
And
said
it's what?
first
Say
it's
that again.
also, and then it's so what? There's
So and so what? Yeah, there you go. There you
yes,
go. And the one thing Derek, I've been in technology for 40 years, right? Over 40 years, 44 years. And one of the I over those 44 years, we went from mainframes to PCs to the internet to mobile computer, all these generations of new technology. And every new technology has made us smarter and smarter and smarter. And I coined a phrase recently that says, we've gotten so smart, we've forgotten our heart. And as you were talking just now, I was thinking to myself, this whole world has evolved into more and more and more noise,
yes,
right? Noise that's taken us away from ourselves. One of the things that I've learned over my life is that I've learned not to live by other people's expectations of me.
yes,
But my life is, like you said, from the inside out, not from the outside in. And when I realized that, it was a life changer. And right now, and stepping forward a few years, the noise level is going to be incredibly loud,
yes,
and what I mean by noise is fear and threats and uncertainty and people telling us what we need to do and those external expectations of ourselves.
yes.
And that's what's going to make the environmental messy middle, if you will, 10 times worse,
Yes,
right? Because if we don't learn to deal with our own inner messy middle,
exactly.
right? Is that what
Exactly.
you, so that's kind of,
Yeah, I mean, see, here's the thing, we've heard this, the world is a mirror, all the world is a stage, that it's important to understand we don't experience reality. We experience our story about reality. We experience, which can be broken down into our beliefs, our thoughts, our fears, our feelings. So we are not experiencing reality. This is why, in the very real sense, we are living in a simulation, we are living in a matrix, et cetera, et cetera. Maya, as Buddha would call it, and the Hindus. We are living in our belief and perception and story about reality. So that's the good and bad news. So what's happening is that what the outer conditions are creating is an opportunity for us to discover where we really are within ourselves. And again, this is the ancient practice, and that's why I like to say to people, when you get triggered, you want to become trigger happy. You want to actually get excited because that means you're about to discover more about yourself. But what we just said, if you want to avoid growing through pain and suffering, through challenge and crisis, just know that the first principle, the secret hack, is make it a priority before the crisis, or at least the next one, to know yourself. Because again, the world, to the extent that you are not influenced by the world, but rather are the only one who influences you, to that extent do you have real influence in the world. That's what Stephen Covey called your circle of concern versus your circle of control of power or control, or where you can actually do something about something versus where you're just worried about something.
Right.
Knowing yourself is where it starts. And so knowing what we really are made of, what we're really made for, what we really want. And it takes some time because all the dust and the grit of the journey, as you said, of having to try to be what mommy and daddy like, then be what teacher wants, be what will get us the good grades so that we get a good job, so that we. And as Howard Thurman, who was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor, he said, don't ask what the world wants. Ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs are people who have come fully alive.
That's
And
amazing.
and that goes back to my thing. The purpose of life is to come fully alive, is to flower, is to flourish, is to take the seed of your deepest purpose and potential that was planted in your soul or in your heart, even before you were planted in your mother's womb, and to cultivate that so that it fully flowers. That's the most simple purpose and way to think of what we're here for. There's a seed in you, like seeds everywhere on the planet. Everything comes from a seed, everything comes from a pattern, and you have a pattern in you. You're not an accident. And when you, in everything you really are made to be, do, create, contribute, that information, that technology is already embedded and encoded in you. And if you can get to know what that is, and then be in service of what you need to flourish, you will flourish regardless of where you're planted.
Okay. So,
And
okay.
that's the
Okay.
key to move forward.
Okay. So there's a couple of things I want to, and I want to hit on something that you just
Yeah.
said, and then I want to circle back and talk about how some of the things you mentioned kind of can manifest into the world we're living in today. So you said everybody has a seed.
Yes.
How do you discover what that seed is? Everybody has a purpose. I believe that. I believe that, there's uh, call it universal energy, call it spirituality, call it whatever it is, right? How do people discover that seed? How do people discover that purpose?
Yeah, and even if you don't have to even get woo-woo to believe this. You just have to look around and use Occam's razor and see that literally everything that has ever been alive, and I would even say the universe itself, has come from a pattern. Everything. And if you look at the acorn, it does not go out and try to figure out who do I need to be, or fill up its empty shell, or achieve an oak tree, or become good enough to be, it literally surrenders to the soil, and nature creates the condition that is congruent with the pattern in the seed. And when that condition is a match, oak emerges. And you could say evolution is just the process of continually seeking to create the next best condition for that is implicit or involuted to unfold or evolute or emerge. And so everywhere we see this happening, it's the only thing happening. And but we've been conditioned since we were very little, since we knew what we wanted. You just want to go play in the dirt. And then your mom lovingly and meaningful, well-meaning says, stop playing in the dirt all day, read a book. Or you're reading a book, all you want to read all day, and your dad says, stop putting your nose in that book, go talk to some people. And what happened is little by little, you got talked out of your natural guidance system to know what you truly want, what truly lights you up, makes you come alive, turns you on. And over time, to survive, to be loved, et cetera, you had to believe a lie about yourself in the world, which is, I can't just read all day or make art all day or dance all day or dig in the dirt all day. I got to be somebody responsible, somebody that's safe, somebody that's worthy and loved and fits into
Right?
the world. And over time, you became that cog in a machine and built a life and an identity around that. And now AI is coming like a tsunami to wash all of that away so that you can finally get back to, oh, I can play in the dirt again. I can just, whatever the thing is, but we don't have to wait for the tsunami to hit. You can come back to take time, a little bit of time every day. You can start small because there's a lot of noise inside of you, a lot of that
Hmm.
conditioning. Your mind has been colonized by for millennia, if not just your own lifetime.
Yeah.
and about what you should value, what should matter, what does, what can, what all of that. And so you have to take time to go, if I, simple questions like if I could really truly be who I want to be, not who I think I have to be, not what I think is going to make money, not what I think they're going to like or not like, or keep me married or make my kids not make fun of me or whatever the case may be. If I could really be that, who would I be? And just start a process of excavation and think back. What were the things I used to think about or focus on as far back as you can remember, where I lost sense of time? That really, and little by little, again, a lot of it's been buried, and some of it will be scary to remember. And you'll have thoughts like, well, this is stupid. I can't make a living at this. What's the point? I don't have time. I got to figure out how to use ChatGPT so I can keep my job. You're going to have all those thoughts. But I'm telling you what I know. There is a pattern in you, and it is throwing off signals. It can also look like the people you most admire. Oh my God, he's so amazing. The way they do this, do that, the way they show up, the way they value themselves, respect, whatever it is, in fiction, in history, or in your current life. Make a list of 5 people you just think are so amazing. Not merely, oh, they just have the most money, but like, I just think, man, if I could know that person, or if I could have dinner with that person, and write down the qualities about them and what is it about it, their story or their message or how they hold themselves or treat others. Start just writing it down and understand what you're describing is not them. It's a projection of that unreconciled, not fully owned and claimed parts of yourself. Because remember, it's all a reflection. The things that push you or pull you are a reflection or a projection of unreconciled, unfulfilled parts of you. So the clues are all here. Sometimes, if you've been ignoring them for a while, they don't show up as a positive. They show up as jealousy, envy, resentment. But for now, if you just start there, and again, I've taken tens of thousands of people through this. From billionaires and media moguls to Oscar and Emmy winners to everyday coaches, teachers, healers, authors, entrepreneurs, and I've done it for 25 years myself. And I've done it with people that have been broken, depressed, homeless. So it doesn't matter where you are, and also people that have a lot to lose, if they start getting too woo-woo.
Hmm.
It's very simple, but there are signals. And if you start really sincerely wanting to know, like more than I want to fix, change, heal, control, or manipulate my life or anybody else, I want to know what I'm really made of and made for. I want to know myself. If that
So,
becomes your daily
yeah.
intention, you will, and probably faster than you think.
So I loved how you the idea of think about what you would do, without any limits, without saying, well, I can't make money that way. I mean, if
Yeah.
if you come up with something that says, I would really get I would really love to make squirrel shoes,
Yeah. Whatever.
right? Go for it. Follow it.
Yeah,
Follow
and I
it.
and I would
Right?
even say just for a period, let's say it's a week or 2 or 3, especially if you're not used to excavating these parts of you, take off any pressure of having to do anything about it just yet. Don't, in other words,
Right.
the how
Good.
will kill the what every time if it's too soon. So don't ask, well, how am I going to do that? Or what are the steps? Don't worry. You didn't think like that as a kid. Now, as a kid, you would just go quickly run into the garage and start trying to figure out a way to make squirrel shoes because it was fine if you made
Right.
it, and then you'd be like, Bobby, hey, come play, and you forget about your squirrel shoes and you go play outside. So you weren't attached to outcomes. You were all about inputs and outputs. What makes me feel alive? What's fun? Where's the juice? Where's the joy? And over time, that is in fact how you developed any positive, high functioning capacity or quality, including just walking, was all developed by following that joy, that curiosity, that adventure. But now there's layers and conditioning that will make you try to turn it into something that makes
Right.
sense, that fits in, that makes money, that
Right.
you can do, that you have visibility on, and you will crush that little acorn as it's starting to bud and try to rip it open and go, give me the oak tree. And,
Yeah, right,
and so
right.
don't be in a rush initially, but give yourself time to start to rediscover and what really makes you come alive, what really lights you up. And again, there'll be stuff there'll be a messy middle, as you said. You'll bump into regret and grief and all kinds of other feelings for the parts of you you've pushed down, rejected, said you couldn't be or do anymore, and also the fear of it's going to be too late. It's not. Yeah, and here's one quick little thing, and I'll turn it back to you. If you're afraid it's too late, look in the mirror, lift your hair up, and see if it says use by and there's a date. And if that date is not is already passed, I'm sorry, but so far I've had this test on everybody, and so far they've all had plenty of time left.
Nice. I love that. I love that. And I love your metaphor of the acorn. Because I think of myself as an acorn. And folks, I want you to think of yourself as an acorn, right? An acorn has a really hard shell around it, right? To protect it from the elements. And
Yes.
you know what? An acorn, it survives freezing cold and super hot temperatures and
Yeah.
gets pissed on and pooped on and just everything.
Buried by squirrels who think
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and sometimes pooped out.
exactly.
Right? And but if we can, and this is what I just got from you, Derek. If we can be true to ourselves as that acorn, right? And understand that that acorn knows, and it has gone, well, maybe it hasn't gone through the exercises that you just what shared with us. But if we can get back to that essence of who we are
Yes.
by doing some of the things that you just talked about, um, it would be great. And this is where I want to transition back to our topic, back to
Yeah.
the age of AI,
Yeah.
right? So the world is going to change. The messy metal from where we are today to 7 to 10 years from now is going to be messier than ever before. And the question I always get asked is, what do I do? My job. Everybody's so
Right.
fearful
What's the
about their
job?
jobs being taken
Yeah.
away. Okay. So going through what you and I just talked about, how does that help?
Yeah. So again, what we're doing right now is, and by the way, we haven't left the conversation of AI. We're just talking about the original AI, which we are, ancient intelligence, ancestral intelligence, authentic intelligence, even angelic intelligence. But we're getting back down to the inner technology that we are the killer app we've been waiting for. And so we haven't left it. We've just reclaimed what real AI is, and that is us. In fact, even from a neuroscience perspective, our mind and our brain has been training over the quantum fluctuations in the field for millennia and building a model of reality, which isn't reality, it's just a model of reality based on the data and information. And now we're just a massive inference model, trying to put in the right prompt to get out the right answer. And so we have to understand that all outer technology is a prosthetic and a projection of inner technology. And it's all just the journey of us trying to build the Tower of Babel to eventually become gods ourselves instead of understanding that we already have the thing we're trying to build. Nothing wrong with building the technology. I'm not a Luddite. I love it, but we just have to keep it in perspective. I'm the source. I'm the creator. I'm not the creature. I'm not the creation merely. I'm the creator. And no matter how powerful the technology seems, it ain't got nothing over me. And all we've done is put ourselves in a box of what intelligence is. But the real intelligence that we have, as you said, the intelligence of the heart, which has a whole lot of neurons, maybe not as many as the brain, but sure as heck close.
Hmm.
And the intelligence of the gut, also
Yes.
other brain. And so AI doesn't have a heart or a gut. as massive and awesome as AI is at pattern recognition, and I love it, our intelligence is infinitely greater than AI can ever be. It's just a prosthetic. It's just another machine that can do a bunch of stuff so that we can deepen these other intelligences, upgrade our hardware, as you would probably say.
Hmm.
So, and the intuitive and the creative and all the things that are the intelligence that we have even barely begun to tap. So we're laying a foundation for that. And then we're saying, here's some simple practices that we're not saying you're going to run the marathon tomorrow, but you're going to have to compete. So start getting some training right now. Start practicing. Start getting back to yourself. Start getting back into fighting shape. Remember who you really are. You have the mind and the consciousness that took us out of trees on the savannah and blasted us into the stars. That consciousness is in you. Reclaim that capacity, that capacity that got you to get up off all fours and climb and walk, which is literally learning how to do controlled falling. Walking is just controlled falling. So just remember, you are so much more. That's just the foundation. Now, in the short term, medium, and ultimately long term, you do want to I gotta figure out a way to future-proof my wealth and my work and my life and all that kind of stuff. So the first most practical thing is don't reject AI.
Hmm.
AI.
Yeah,
Learn,
exactly.
use AI, but use it in service of knowing and being more of who you are, which you said earlier, technology has made us more intelligent. I would say it's made some people more intelligent, but statistically, if you actually look, it's made us dumber. The smartphone has made us stupid. Even next to us, turned off, our cognition drops. And MIT studies now show students that are outsourcing their work to AI, their cognition is going off
Yeah.
a cliff. So it's a Faustian bargain. It feels like a good deal. I can just use a calculator, use GPS, use AI to write my stuff, to scale my business. Hey man, I'm sitting in a jacuzzi with champagne, but pretty soon you realize you're cooking like the frog. And you've lost agency, you've lost the capacity, and now you have to lean on AI, and now you're really in trouble. So use it in a way that you can actually measure and manage and see I'm getting smarter. My capacity to write, to communicate, to create in the areas that I want to develop are actually growing. Create your own benchmarks. Like, wow, look at that essay versus that, or that article versus that,
Hmm.
or that post. Now, that means you have to do hard work. We evolved to do hard work. But the hard work in becoming more of yourself, in fulfilling a worthy goal, is where we derive meaning. If you don't have to work hard, the goal will give you the opposite of meaning. It will create apathy and you will wither. You'll be holding all the gold like Citizen Kane in his big mansion, wishing he had Rosebud again. So you have to do hard work. You got to dig the well to drink the water. And but you'll feel great about yourself. But you can use AI to accelerate that process. You can use AI to learn like nobody's business, to know yourself, because it can help you see you. You can use AI to develop yourself, to put yourself into a master's training program. Then
Hmm.
you can use AI to scale your genius, your creativity, your wisdom, your vision, your humanity. That's the proper use of a scaling tool. Scale more wisdom, not more AI slop. Scale who you are, not the generic, homogenized, slop that AI will do and cliche. That's where you use it. But so you want to use AI, you want to get good at it, and you want to use it, which I go through in my book on how to use it to uncover and do that excavation process much quicker. Really know what you're made of and made for, what I call your life code. Know your uniqueness, know your irreplaceability. It will help you do that, and I show you how to do that. So that's the second practical thing. And then from a very practical thing, if you have a job and you're the person who knows how to use AI to increase productivity and to do all the work, and you're learning about yourself, and you can talk to people like we're talking now, even a little bit, you're the last person they're going to let go.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, as you kind of fast forward, we continue to move forward. There's going to come a point in time. I can't honestly, Derek, I can't think of a role that a robot or AI can't
Correct.
take over.
Correct.
But at the same time, if you're in this space that you're talking about, where you know yourself, you know you're an acorn, right? And you know
You
you
know
know
you're an oak tree, even if everybody else just sees an acorn.
yeah, that's right, that's right. You know you're an oak tree, right? It occurs to me that the fact of the matter is, yes, we see the impact of AI today, but we don't, I certainly don't have a clue in terms of the opportunities that we don't know that are going to be created as a result of
Correct.
this, the march of this technology.
That's why it's a singularity, because we really can't see beyond that.
Right? But if you know you're an oak tree, if you know you're an oak tree, right? Folks, I've got I'm looking through a loop in my fingers, right? Um, if you know you're an oak tree, right, you're gonna look at the world around you and go, hey, you know what? Cool. And I just feel like, as you were talking, I felt my shoulders start to relax a little bit
Yes,
because it's like, if I'm in this space that you're talking about, whatever happens, right? I know me and
exactly. You're
I'll be able
speaking,
to adjust
you're
and
saying
right?
something very important, which is, you know, what is the saying? There's a saying that says, you know, you may not know what the future holds, but you can know what holds the future. And it's a different shift in perspective. It's like instead of the belief that, and there's another way to say it, I say this is that conditions do not determine your destiny, your character does. Right. And so, in other words,
Yes.
yes, nobody knows, nobody has ever really known what will happen tomorrow, even though we've convinced ourselves we do. Believe me, I've lived a life where things have happened tomorrow that were the last thing in the world I could have ever imagined happening. Tragic things like the death of a child,
Mm.
the loss of a fortune, you name it. But but because I knew not so much like somebody says to me like how's life treating you? I say I don't know how life's treating me, but I know how I'm treating me and how I'm treating my life. How's the day going? I don't know or don't care how the day's going. I know how I'm going about my day. In other words, I know who I am. And the only thing, I have no control over outcomes, but I have every control over inputs and outputs. Who am I going to be? How am I going to be? What am I going to do and express and create and contribute? And like what you just said is the ultimate like reality check. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we have all the power to be who we want to be and are made to be today. And ultimately you discover that's the only control we really have. And that there's a freedom in that. And then you find
Huge freedom,
and
huge
then you
freedom.
find out you are the one creating tomorrow by who you're being today.
Um,
I love it.
Holy cow. This is Derek, that I just looked at my clock and we've holy smoke. What a great conversation.
It is, man. I really appreciate it.
All right. So first thing, and we're not closing yet, folks, so don't hang up. But the
Don't touch
first
that
thing,
dial.
yeah, don't touch that dial. Yeah,
For
we're
you young
aging ourselves.
people, for you young people, radio is a thing where they used to, you're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
Dials and
exactly.
buttons and knobs. What's happening here?
Exactly. But Derek had mentioned his book called Emergence.
Oh, that was the previous book. Yes.
That is, oh, sorry, that's your previous book.
It's still
Um,
a good one, very much.
yep,
And
yep,
it's what
yep,
when we're talking about the pattern and the seed and everybody,
yep.
that's the foundation of that whole teaching is emergence. Yes.
And his new book is A Whole New Human: 10 Ways We Must Evolve to Survive and Thrive in the AI Age.
Yes.
I haven't read them, but I'm going to.
Yes.
And because this has just been such a really, really wonderful conversation. Your podcast is also called Emergence, right?
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
folks, you can experience more of Derek on his podcast called Emergence.
Yes.
Um, Derek, for now, because if you agree to, I would love to have you back sometime.
It would be my honor
This
for
is this
sure.
is this has
I
been
love the
just
conversation where you bring it.
yeah. Well, thank you, thank you. For now, what do you want to leave with the audience, given where we are and the uncertainty
Yeah.
of what we face?
Well, I would say that again, first of all, don't put your head in the sand. Don't just reject AI or get caught up on, not wanting to look at it, not needing to believe it, or being so scared you're just chasing it. It's acknowledge the facts, see things as they are, not better, not worse, but as they really are, and then see things as they really could be. And so what really is AI is here. It is going to completely terraform the world as we know it. The electrification, the railroadification, the AIification of the world is happening. There will be a day where you will go to open your refrigerator and it will say, "Hey Bob, aren't you fasting today?" And it won't let you in. Your toaster is going to talk back to you at some point. But for now, there is still time, and it's going to happen faster than most people think. It is already happening faster.
Yes.
So there is times in life where having an urgency of emergence is appropriate to avoid it becoming an emergency. And so you want to have an urgency right now. You want to take advantage of this time, even though it's uncomfortable and it might be very inconvenient. You have your job, you have your kids, you have your life. Believe me, nobody has all this extra time to learn AI and to reconfigure their whole life. But I'm telling you, do it now because later it's going to take a lot more time and cause a lot more pain. So there's an urgency to learn AI, to know yourself, and to begin to prepare yourself and your loved ones for this challenging, boot camp we have to grow through right now to become adaptive to this new level. And what I can tell you is that it's happening. We can't stop it. It's going to be challenging, but I can also tell you, and I mean it, and I know it in my heart, if you're willing to dig a little deeper, do the work, listen to shows like this, and make time on your calendar. Now, don't just have a dream and a fantasy. That's wishful thinking. Put some time on your calendar and you start doing the work to learn AI, to know yourself, to start building a vision for your life and preparing how you can really become future proof for your life, your work, your wealth, your well being. This can be, for those that prepare, like I said, one of the greatest opportunities of a lifetime. A gold rush like we've never imagined. Not just a gold rush in terms of investing in AI stocks and all that. I mean, there are going to be billions of people that are going to need help. And if you are prepared, you will be one of the people that they turn to. And there are going to be billions, if not hundreds of millions, who are going to crave something real and authentic and human. And if you're doing the work to know yourself, as I said, to upgrade your hardware, you will be part of what I call the handcrafted humanity, where you will become the trusted voice. Your light will become like a homing beacon to many, and you will have no problem finding gainful employment and even more, a deep and fulfilling purpose. And you will not just set yourself free, but you will pave the way for your loved ones and for many, many more to come. So if you feel that resonance, there's a call. Don't let it go to voicemail.
Folks, here's the thing. We've all heard this. Information is not power. It's the application of information that's power.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we've just had such an incredible conversation. Again, I've been in technology since 1984 with IBM. And I will tell you that from the standpoint of the opportunity, for the technology not only to benefit humanity, but to benefit you,
Yes.
right? One of the cool things about AI is that yes, you learn about AI, but AI can actually help you learn about you.
Exactly.
And it's really it really is mind-boggling and almost mind-numbing to think about if you can the opportunities that are and it goes and Derek, thank you so much because the opportunities are going to be in our own humanity.
Yes.
That's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
And
That will be the new moat. AI will take away every other moat, but the only moat it can't, which is humanity. It'll be your unique and authentic humanity in service of a worthy purpose or goal. That's going to be the moat. That's going to be the moat for businesses. As businesses can build billion-dollar businesses with one person, it's already happened. It will, as they add people, it's going to be the people who, what used to be soft skills, but are actually very hard. People who really know themselves and who are really bringing something rather than trying to get something, they're going to be the new teams of authentic humanity. And the artists, the creators, the designers, they'll be able to use AI and all that. But again, those with unique voice, perspective, taste, humanity, heart, touch, this is what's going to be your moat. This is what's going to be your
right,
differentiator.
right.
And not only that, it's going to be what actually makes you the happiest. And so it's going to allow you to
Yes.
be more you. This is what we
Yes.
actually want. This is what our heart and soul yearns for. And as I said, we've had to adapt and contract and stuff ourselves into a widget of an idea of what we think we can be to survive. And and we've done an amazing job. We're still here. But this is an opportunity to release a lot of those shackles and to become what we have always been meant to be. And like any birth, it can be messy. But
Yeah.
we can do it. And that's what this book is about. That's what, John here is teaching and sharing. And I hope you all will, take the time, make the time. You'll be your future self will be very grateful.
And here's another point of beauty. You don't have to do this by yourself,
No, not at
right?
all.
Everybody, every person a number of years ago, I was at Los Angeles International Airport, and I was just people watching, because I was waiting for my plane. And as I was watching, looking at all these people, I realized that every single person, whether it was a 3-year-old or a 93-year-old, was someone I can learn something from, right?
100%.
And every single as I think through that image in my mind about all these people going back and forth, every one of those people are facing the same reality that we are all facing right now, right? Is this future, this new world that we're going into. So
Yeah.
grab a buddy.
Community
Yeah,
is one of the evolutions.
there you go.
It's actually the final evolution. And community breeds immunity. Community creates a common unity. That community we allows us, like just like a geodesic dome, that it's actually stronger. We don't have to hold it all together. In fact, we can't. We can hold it all together, right? And so many of us are sitting there trying to hold it all together, hold it all together, and that's weak. The capacity to hold so much more is when we are connected together. And right now, with the meaning crisis and loneliness epidemic and algorithms
Hmm.
dividing us, divided, we're conquered, right? But if we come together with common unity, common purpose, it actually, again, it builds an immunity against the thought viruses of the world and even the real viruses of the world. So community is a lost technology and it's coming back. And that is what humans are actually going to value, humanity and community. That's one of the reasons why, like even from a online situation. You're starting to see more and more of these thought leaders and different people are building communities,
Yes.
live, in-person things, what's called third places. People are going to want to gather in person. People are going to want to connect with others, and people are going to want to feel and know we're real. So humanity and community and reality, like together where you can touch each other, these are three of the most important capacities along with authenticity. So you put all those together, that's the new model, right? Because everything else will be commodified. That's from a practical standpoint. Everything but just capital and compute, though that'll be the most expensive moat to own. But beyond that, everything will be commodified except the things you can't, the live, the in-person, the community, the humanity, and the authenticity. So, in a nutshell,
We
in an acorn shell, those are the most important things to put in your basket.
we are definitely going to be back together again. We have so much more to talk about,
Yes.
and folks, okay, if I say something else, we're gonna we're gonna
I don't know. Before you know
completely.
it, down
So
the hole.
so so listen, Derek, unbelievable. Thank you
Thank you,
for all
brother.
you're doing. Thank you for all you're doing to help people. Thank you for joining me on this podcast, folks. The name of this podcast is Finding Better, and I have never had. This is the most meaningful episode, an interview I've ever had as it relates to finding better in the future
Mhm.
and positioning ourselves in the future and finding better in yourself because that's where it all
Yeah,
starts, right?
exactly.
And so, with that, Derek, I love you. God bless you. Thank you
Thank you,
again for
brother.
joining me. Everybody out there, I love you. God bless you. Please, please share this.
Yeah.
Share this with people that you know because, oh my God, we just unlocked so much as it relates to where our future is going. Okay,
Indeed.
and please subscribe. Please subscribe. It helps us a lot. So
Smash that like button, whatever they say.
yeah, that's right. So, folks, thanks
Okay.
again for joining us. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you next time.
Much love to you all.
Bye.